Hi, and thanks for checking out this video. Continuing our series, this video covers another way to conclude a site value in a residential real estate appraisal. We covered allocation or ratio analysis in another video. In this one, we cover extraction of a vacant site value from an improved sale. Remember, if you have questions, you can contact me at tim@theappraisersadvocate.com. And the model we're going to use in this video is available for sale at a one-time charge of $25. You'll be able to use that the remainder of your appraisal career. In this video, I'm going to show you how to extract a site value from an improved sale. This method, with the simple name of extraction, is one of three ways residential appraisers conclude a value to a site as if it were vacant and ready to be put to its highest and best use. First of these is allocation, which we covered in a previous video. Third is via an analysis of comparable vacant land sales. Since we already know how to do that, I don't have a video on that method. Next in this series will be a video on concluding market-based age, life depreciation, and effective age. So please hit those like and subscribe buttons. We'll both be glad you did. Thank you. So as Walt Disney said, the best way to get started is to quit talking and start doing. I can't quit talking in an instructional video, but I can start doing. So let's start doing. The listing, contract, or sale of an improved property always contains a site value. We'll learn how to extract that from an improved sale. In older subdivisions, allocation or extraction may be the only way to conclude a site value. This is because there are likely not any recent vacant land sales. Some appraisal gurus suggest, in such a case, going to an analogous neighborhood to find the comparable sales. I too recommend that, but I also recommend allocation and extraction. When an appraiser takes all three of these approaches, allocation, extraction, comparable sales, to a vacant land site, it's hard to accuse the appraiser of bias. Why? Simply because the appraiser has exhausted all approaches to a market-supported opinion of site value. Therefore, the appraiser has engaged in neither selection bias nor confirmation bias, two of the most common biases in real estate appraisal. I developed this format to extract site value. This template, as I indicated, is available for a one-time charge of $25. You'll be able to use this format and this protocol for the remainder of your real estate appraisal career. You'll use this form to extract a site value. You'll need a target value to start with. This can be the contract price, the listing price, the last sale price, whatever. For the purpose of this video, we are going to assume the contract price. We'll be using the protocols of the cost approach to take the contract price apart to extract a vacant site value. For purposes of this discussion, assume the contract price is $413,000. You'll see I've entered this in the blue cell. Now, go down to dwelling. We've entered the square footages and the costs per square foot. Where you see the word source, you should enter, for example, over the column of square footage, your source, which would probably be your measurements of the property. If you want to write something different other than source, go ahead. If you want to take that out, go ahead. Over the column showing the construction costs new per square foot, again, indicate your source. This would be the source of your square footage data. Remember, in the cost approach, there must be enough information so that your client can replicate your square footage calculations. Make sure you have these in the work file. As you can see from the grid so far, the cost new of this house would be $465,592. This does not include a site value yet. That's where we're going. Next, it's necessary to account for accrued depreciation. In this sample, we have assumed age life depreciation. This video assumes you know how to calculate that. If you don't, it's okay. There are numerous other videos on YouTube about how to calculate this amount. You'll need to familiarize yourself with these videos so you can calculate this important component of the cost approach, as well as the final value conclusion. As you can see, this example assumes age life depreciation of 27%. We're going to vary that in just a few minutes. Since this is age life depreciation, which is accrued depreciation, which means all depreciation, we have not made any attempt to allocate the total of $125,710 to physical, functional, or external obsolescence factors. For simplicity's sake, it's simply accrued depreciation at 27%. When you deduct the depreciation of $125,710 from the cost new of $465,592, you end up with a depreciated cost of the improvements of $339,882. However, we don't have a site value yet, and that's exactly where we're going. Now, as is standard protocol in the cost approach, it's necessary to add the as-is value of the site improvements. For purposes of this illustration, we've assumed $15,000. Obviously, in a less expensive property, this would be less. In a more expensive property, this could easily total $100,000. Again, however, for purposes of this illustration, the assumption is the as-is value of the site improvements is $15,000. This, plus the depreciated cost of $339,882, needs to add up to $413,000, which is the contract price. Therefore, what we have to do is figure out how much of the total of $413,000 can be allocated to site value as if that site were vacant and available to be put to its highest and best use. In other words, what we're going to do is take the contract price of $413,000, subtract from it the depreciated value of the improvements of $339,882, less the $15,000 in depreciated physical improvements. The remainder is, therefore, the value of the site. The accuracy of the accrued depreciation factor is extremely important. As with but one example on this slide, we've changed the physical depreciation factor from 27% to 35%, but we changed nothing else. This change in depreciation increases the site value to $95,365. This change in depreciation increases the site value to $95,365, or by approximately $38,000. The reason for this increase in site value is that the value of the improvements decreased because of the greater depreciation ratio. Therefore, of the $413,000, more of that had to go to the land than to the improvements. Changing individual entries on a chart such as this one to see what happens to the site value or to any other variable is called sensitivity analysis, and each sensitivity analysis is called an iteration. I heartily recommend you keep these iterations available in your work file. By showing a client or state investigator that you engaged in multiple iterations shows that you did not go with the first answer the first iteration gave you. This means that you did not engage in selection bias. You did not engage in confirmation bias. You examined all the data. This is one way of showing how you avoided bias in your analysis, thus biases in your appraisal. Now, as you can see from the cell in yellow, this process has extracted a value to the underlying site of $95,365. The beauty of this process is that it takes the contract price, the listing price, the most recent sales price, etc., and using authoritative cost figures as well as a market-derived accrued depreciation factor, extracts from that $413,000 the vacant site value of approximately $95,000. You rightly say that approximately $95,000 is 23% of the contract price, which appears to be on the low side. Frankly, it may be. But this is why you must make sure that your costs per square foot are accurate, that your estimate of accrued depreciation is accurate, and that your mathematics in general is accurate. Now, is there a way to check to see if you're right in your calculations? Well, the calculations we just went through are mathematically accurate. Are they right? So let's take a look at one way to become a little more confident in those conclusions. What you see on the slide above is right out of the 15th edition of the Appraisal of Real Estate at page 571. It shows there's a mathematical relationship between effective age, a property's total economic life, and accrued depreciation. In other words, if you know 2 of the 3 of them, you can calculate the third. If you have only one of the variables, you can estimate the second to get a mathematically correct estimation of the third. Here's that check. While it is possible to extract total economic life from the market for a Q3 or Q4 house, to estimate total economic life at 65 years is not a stretch. Remember that mathematically, effective age divided by total economic life equals accrued depreciation. Therefore, accrued depreciation equals total economic life multiplied by effective age. We assume depreciation is 35%, since that's what we use to arrive at the site value of approximately $96,000. What you do now is go through a series of iterations where you divide a guess by 65 years. You do that until you find a number that, divided by 65, equals 35%. In this case, 42.25 years of remaining economic life divided by 65 years total economic life is 35% depreciation. Since total economic life less remaining economic life is effective life, in this case, via these calculations, the subject is effectively 22.75 years old, or somewhere between 20 and 25 years old. Now, consider the chronological age of your subject. If your effective age is less than your chronological age, then, according to the market, the house is in above average condition. If they are more or less the same ages, the subject is in average condition. If the effective age is greater than the chronological age, then the house is in below average condition. This situation, where the effective age is greater than the chronological age, has some serious ramifications, too numerous and deep to cover here. In another video, we'll cover how all this fits into highest and best use. Of the 3 ways residential appraisers have traditionally come to an estimate of site value, in this video, we have gone over the second one. So we've covered both site allocation or ratio analysis, same thing, and site value extraction. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. The next video is on using all of this to conclude highest and best use. Stay tuned, please, and hit those like and subscribe buttons too. Thanks. I look forward to the next time we're together. I'm Tim Anderson, the Appraiser's Advocate. And again, you can reach me at tim@theappraisersadvocate.com. Thanks.